Based upon projections by a growing group of energy experts, the following scenario could be our fate in the not-too-distant future. By 2012, an energy-hungry middle class of automobile owners has continued to explode in China, India, and other developing countries. The world's demand for oil has jumped from 84 million barrels a day to 100 million. Producers and refiners cannot keep up. This creates a ripple effect. Nations begin jockeying for position as oil becomes ever more scarce. With oil supplies as tight as they are, a sudden man-made or natural disaster could trigger the unthinkable.
My biggest fear, and should be the world's biggest fear, is something similar to September 11 would take place in Saudi Arabia.
The Saudi facility at Ras Tanura is the largest terminal in the Persian Gulf. It receives and transports 10 million barrels of oil a day. If Ras Tanura or another major terminal were to be hit by terrorists, the results could be catastrophic. Even under normal conditions, these kinds of facilities are extremely dangerous, as oil is highly flammable and explosive. So once a facility is struck, a disastrous series of events could quickly cause a shutdown. If this happens, millions of barrels of oil a day could not be processed and shipped out, and the world economy could quickly slip into a recession.
My biggest concern long-term is a real outstripping of supply and a complete failure or breakdown in the system of energy security.
We got a precursor in the United States in the summer of 1979 when we had our second long gas lines. There were shootings, there were fistfights, and cars would be smashed.
As the crisis deepens, the price of oil rises sharply to $150 a barrel. A gallon at the pump reaches a shocking $8. The SUV owner has to cough up nearly $200 to fill up. Tens of millions of people in the suburbs with no available mass transportation can't get to work. As oil prices rise, farms can no longer produce food cheaply. Trucking costs tied to the price of fuel rise dramatically.
That'll raise the price of food. So if you have a combination of rapidly increasing energy costs and food costs, that means a general economic recession is almost a guarantee.
That first winter, there are shortages and price spikes in home heating oil. To cope, many return to using wood for fuel. The skies turn an ever-present gray. People who lack fuel altogether will not survive. With so many products dependent on gasoline, either for their delivery or manufacture, the price of the basic necessities of life skyrockets. Hunger, disease, and crime become rampant. The price of transportation fuel shoots up beyond the reach of most consumers and manufacturers. Businesses, even Fortune 500 companies, begin to fail. The economic slide worsens. We're now in a full-blown depression.
We'd have an increasing problem with unemployment. People would be losing their homes because they couldn't make the payments. Banks would be failing.
The stock market crashes. Breadlines return. Millions of people become homeless. Inflation rises so high, money becomes practically worthless.
The government would have to deal with people not having anywhere to go, not having jobs, and they'd have riots and unrest in the street.
As the economy crumbles, the black market takes over. Gangs rise up to protect the traders. society teeters on the edge of collapse.
As people lose their connection with a larger functional social matrix, they'll try to survive any way they can.
Motorcycles rule the day, tricked out to run on ethanol made on rooftops and in backyards. It's a Mad Max world in which people cobble together their own Plan B strategies for survival. In order to save their desperate nations, governments consider armed intervention.
The United States and China have both announced that they will not be denied access to world oil supplies because oil is vital to their economies. And a lot of wars have been fought over less than that.
If outside nations invade the Middle East to get to the fields, they may be faced with nuclear weapons the oil-producing nations have procured to defend the last of their oil.
Because this is the most important aspect of the economy, this will be something we'll fight over. It'll be a real quick solution. Society will end.
Is this nightmare scenario inevitable? Some experts believe there's still time to do something about this impending oil crisis.
We have a real narrow window of maybe 5 to 7 years to avert the clash of society and implement a very massive Plan B that takes global coordination.
I am a real believer that every individual can make a difference.